Good, great. And yourself?
Doing great. Get
Awesome.
my video back here. Thanks for joining. Sorry about the
No worries. At least
error
you
in
got
getting it to you.
it. Hey,
Great to see you.
you too. You too.
Thanks for joining. Well, we have a few of us. I don't know how many more will join in, and/or
Okay.
we'll be watching via another source, whether Facebook or YouTube, if we
Great.
have it streamed to there. But
Yeah.
we'll continue as such anyhow, as they're either coming in. Some may have to go. But Carl, would you tell us where you are tonight?
Right now, I am in Florida, Winter Garden, Florida,
Okay, right outside Orlando, correct?
outside of Orlando. Yeah, kind of southwest. And
Oh,
just finished up a good week last week near Ocala, Florida.
yeah, near Davenport,
Yeah, I'm just north of Davenport.
just north of Davenport. Oh, we
Yeah.
we've last few years we've spent some time down there in the wintertime in Davenport.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Yeah. Which part? Like in the resort area there or campground?
Actually, can't think of the housing development there that
Okay,
we've been to. Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Some nice
Nice.
spots around, some
Yep.
good spots. Yeah.
Carl, is that
Tuscan
home
Ridge,
for you?
Tuscan Ridge.
Okay,
Tuscan
gotcha.
Ridge.
You're saying
Is Davenport your launch location? Is that
my
home
launch
for you?
location is Winter Garden, which is
Or, I mean,
my
Winter
base
Garden. Sorry.
here, home. Yep. In this area. And we've done that for years due to our missions in the islands. I kind of was regional for that area, like south of here. So it was an easy Miami or Orlando's a quick hop, when we needed to for the years. So, so this has kind of been a base. We've met here as ministry teams for years in this area from across the country and Canada. So, um, so we've kind of, it's like been like a little home, we're not here much, but, but when we are, there's the base. I don't have to winterize the RV, which is good, right?
Good.
Saves me some of that northern stuff I'm used to, and taking the air or running the air through the pipes, the water and the whole thing. But yeah. And, of course we stay more busy here during winter months, which is good. Yeah.
Well, Carl, as I understand, you are the International Missions Director for Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames.
Yes.
Okay. Would you just kind of give us a kind of a brief intro? What does that look like for you in your current spot?
All right. Be glad to. When we first started, of course, we did not have much missions in my day. And then it began to grow. Missionaries been asking us, would ask the ministry, can you come? Can you come help, support us in that area? We feel like it's a good tool for overseas. So it began to develop, and I was a part of that original part of seeing it develop and into practically, every region except Antarctica we hit. So about average 55 countries a year. Even during our COVID time this past year, we've been active and a lot of our countries were busy. So we've been in over 100 plus countries and average around 55. So we have guides that I oversee, national teams mainly, that have a presence in all of these regions, from Eastern Europe, Asia, South Pacific, Africa, continent of Africa, all over, that we help facilitate. And
That's
that
amazing.
fundraising from family needs, the whole bit, of course, budgets and everything I deal with every month. Yeah. So, but it's been.
No, Carl, there might be a population of people that don't know what Heaven's Gates Hell's Flame is. Could you just take a moment and kind of,
Okay.
I think for many, maybe it's the first time they're hearing that. So what is Heaven's Gates Hell's Flame for many who haven't heard of it?
It is it's a tool that we feel God has raised up to help a church reach their local area and connect with their local area. So we show everyday life events of people like you and I that face eternity somehow, a life challenge somehow, whether it be through an accident or some dilemma that they face. So we bring them face to face with eternity, and through everyday life events. So a drama production, we come in to help you direct the local cast, put on a production. So we'll take your people, and that's been the heart of this ministry from day one, that we would go into a church or community or a setting and direct them, to be involved in putting on these vignettes, perhaps 7 to 9 vignettes per night, depends on the crowd and what we can do. And like in about a 55-minute presentation. And then, it's for the unchurched. So we could reach and connect with our neighbors or folks. Some folk are reluctant to invite or, hard to get people to come to a church setting. So this is a way we say with tickets, you can come see a show. I'm in it, whatever it takes to get them out, but it's challenging. And so it's a tool we feel that God has raised up to really help the local church and the local base, even nationally, which has been very effective in different countries. Yeah. So it's grown.
So Carl, as we get into a little bit of Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flame, would you just give us a short background, Brother Carl, on your service to the Lord? When did you come to the Lord? What's a little bit of your story behind you that brought you up into the point to get into this area?
Gotcha. Well, I grew up in a pastor's, a minister's home. So that I grew up, at a young age knowing the Lord. And then at a young age, teenage, I really felt God challenged my heart to serve him. So beyond knowing my dad or my parents' walk with God, as a teenager, I began to seek the Lord for myself. And a lot of that came about because of my mom's sickness. My mom died when she was in her early 30s. And my dad tried to pastor a church, carry on a work, strong work. And as a revivalist and one that was big in evangelism, which had a great influence on my life because that's my passion. And I think that helped develop and help gear, my heart into where I'm at today. But in that early day, I began to seek the Lord for myself. I had a great experience with God, never got bitter, but got to know Jesus for myself. And from there, I began to have a I look at my life and passion for, I think, ministry and where I should go. As a teenager, then went to Bible college in Springfield, Missouri, left Canada as a Canadian and the Great White North, and came down and felt to do that, went to Springfield, Missouri, and finished there and finished HGHF. And then met my wife, Kathy, there. She was at Evangel. And we left that year, finishing up right into ministry with my dad, who had moved then into Toronto, built a church. And of course, we started as, from nothing really, not much, but began to evangelize, step of faith, and watch a church grow in church plant. And God is blessed, and that's a great church today, And but from there, I left. Kathy and I went into, of course, associate with my dad 4 years. Then we felt to go full-time ourselves as lead pastor to Eastern Canada. And we did that for a while. And then that's when I was introduced to Heaven's Gates. It was a new ministry back then, started late 70s. And in the 80s, I had it come to Canada. My dad actually called me from out west. He was pastoring in Western Canada then and said, Carl, I watched this ministry, this drama production called Heaven's Gates. You've got to bring it to Eastern Canada. I didn't know anything about it and decided to do that, taking my dad's advice because, you trust your father, right? And it was amazing what God did. And we were in a rural area, my first church pastorate, and it shook our region. I mean, it was amazing what God did. And our church grew. I retained 8 families in my church after that weekend, which was a big thing for us. And they began to grow and get involved in church life. So that little did I realize that after being there a while, and my passion was evangelism, always been, and was involved at that point in the district there in Eastern Canada. But this ministry, Heaven's Gates or Reality Ministries, called me. The founder did and said, we feel we're going to grow. There are 3 of us. One is leaving to go pastor. So the founder and co-founder was left and said, Carl, we feel this is going to grow. We feel that you would be great if you would consider coming. We feel that, you'd be a good fit. So Kathy and I took the challenge that year. Hard to leave a good church, but we felt the Lord say, take the challenge. And we did. That was in 89. And in 1990, we started this ministry full time. And with two young kids, actually, Kathy was still pregnant with our daughter, and my son was 3. And, we started, and it grew from there. So we've been a part of it really ever since, and have watched it grow like nationally and in North America, which includes Mexico and Canada, right? Because we have teams there, and around the world. And so, and later years, I got involved more. My passion was mission. So I help here. This is our base, but I'm very extensively involved in our missions program. Yeah.
So Carl, for you guys from the start, was it always involved with RVs and life on the road and family going? And
well, all we knew was pastoring at one time, and yet we took the challenge with it because they set up with RVs. That was the way the founders did it. Said, look, with God's help, we're going to get it was an old RV, no generator like now, and North America. Okay. And so that's how we did it. And from home to home too, but because we were gone months at a time, and back then that was before we taught school, we had to homeschool when our kids grew, but RV was the way we felt to go. And the founders felt to go because it would give more longevity to ministry teams in North America. And, less burden perhaps on the church too. We were self-contained. Plus we had to tow a trailer of equipment. So all of that in between churches and weeks, months away from any base like home, we had a place to be. So that began to be a lifestyle and growing into that. And that's, I think it's helped the longevity of our teams, good structure, good family structure. And that's the way the ministry concept went, and that's what we grew into. So it was, some people say, Carl, how could you do it all these years? A calling. I feel a passion for evangelism, seeing a church change or challenged, as well as them seeing, hey, we have a tool that can reach the unchurched. I still get pumped out this past week, a new church at that near Ocala, Florida, and to see their excitement and to realize, hey, God can use you. Amazing again, and of course we end up with a repeat for next year because of what God did this week. I know that helps answer.
Absolutely. I at this time want to take a few minutes to kind of probe your mind. And you've been in this now, you said, since really on the road, 89, 90, a lot of years doing Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flame. Yes. With your family in the RV. You've seen a lot of productions. You've probably done this with, if you can still count on in your mind, probably hundreds of churches. Yes. What are some of them, Carl, that stand out for you? What are the productions that you've seen some just really unique fruit? What kind of responses are typical? What testimonies stand out for you?
Boy, that's I could share a lot when it comes to that. I'm trying to think here of what would be some strong points. I've seen, alcoholics. I've seen drug addicts. I've seen folk that have been possessed come forward in a production because it's vivid and visual. I'll give one story. It was in Ohio, comes to mind of many, but it was Halloween, which we're into October now, right? Getting close. And I watched this guy come forward, and during the production, one of our churches in Ohio, he cursed through the thing, ran out, in and out, and it was a packed auditorium. And all I could think, oh, God, protect Kathy and I. Kathy was on the sound. I was saying, Lord, keep control here and guys, ushers, watch because, we want nothing to interrupt what's happening. After it was all over, he wanted to talk with me. And I felt the Lord had me just love on him and say, God loves you. And the words out of my mouth was, but the devil hates you. Never forget this. He said, don't you tell me about the devil, I'll tell you. And I realized that night that there was a confrontation that what we show, the reality of heaven and hell, of evil, is real. And in our society, I think North America, sometimes it's, I say camouflage, or it's downplayed, even though we know it's real. I watched that guy, you know, well, manifest that. It was crazy in one sense, but I felt God say, challenge him to come back tomorrow night. I said, God, if you want to be set free, come back. And he did do that. And long story short, I won't go into all he said, but his mom was not into good things. And he came back the next night, and we watched God set him free. After a challenge, the drama and the scenes challenged him. Of course, we show live evil and devil, as you know, along with the loving Jesus. But it caused him to challenge where he stood. It disrupted his way of life, which was good. We believe that that's what should happen when you have a confrontation with Jesus. Something should give. With him, it was strong emotions and strong habits that he was dealing with. But God set him free. And I followed up years later, 5 years later, he went through Teen Challenge, gratefully, wonderfully serving the Lord still today. That's one of many stories, but a young man close to 20 that God set free. You know, and one more story. I was just recently in our district in Florida, and Penn, Florida district, and in near Miami, and I had a guy come to me and say, you know, Carl introduced me to this pastor, and he said, man, really, you're part of Heaven's Gates? He said, man, can I just get a photo with you on my phone? I said, really? You know, just joking. He said, yeah. He said, and he began to tell me a story. I said, okay, let's do it. He said, well, he said, you know what? I gave my heart to the Lord during this ministry. Someone invited me to see this production. He said, I didn't go forward to at the altar call time, but he said, someone said, can I walk with you? And we do that many times, say, you know, there's friends with you now. They would be kind. They would be delighted to walk forward with you. He said, so I walked forward, gave my heart to the Lord. I'm a minister in Miami today. And thank me for, you know, years of longevity. But I could go on with stories, but we're seeing other generations now of ministers, pastors, and church leaders, which is amazing. Yeah.
I think I had shared with you, Carl, we connected a little bit in general council, did we not?
Yes, we did.
Just a few minutes. And I gave you the brief story. I wasn't sure if you were aware of it, but it was either yourself or your team had gone through Jacksonville, Florida. And it was at Evangel Temple in Jacksonville, big Assembly of God down there. And just the months before I was attending the university, after getting out of the service, we had just formed a kind of a campus ministry on campus for the first time that they had ever, you know, had that on campus. And one of the core members of our group was a brand new believer, I'd say 6 months, but already in 6 months, she probably bore more fruit than most people bear after couple of years. She was just really thriving in the Lord, very sanctified life from the life she lived prior, which was a very wild life. But this young college student, her walk started at Evangel Temple with a friend who invited her to Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flame. And she found herself, in response to the show, weeping at the altars and begging the Lord to take her old life away and make her new. And she continued on. She became a academy teacher at one of our Assembly of God Christian academies. She went on to missions work in Guatemala and then to the Amazon basin, and still to this day in ministry. In fact, with Evangel, back at Evangel now, in ministry, where it all started because of Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames. So
that is so cool. And I think I remember her some that you say that. And that's an amazing story. We've had great, Evangel Temple is one church that have had us for years and still bear fruit, you know. But it's amazing what God has done through the years. In our overseas, talking with Africa today and Kenya alone, what God has done there in a year and a half, we've seen close to about 150,000 people come to Christ. A lot of work to watch, but it's like one guy said, like I talked to a UK guy that helped me set it up today. And he says, like we got a rock on top of a mountain, just rolling down and can't stop the momentum. COVID did some, but they're active again. And we're just talking today, praying about Tanzania now and those surrounding countries around Kenya because of what's happening. But a lot of these are college-age students as well, not just our churches, but all our universities we're getting in, shopping malls, the area is open to it. It's amazing. Yeah. So great fruit around the world.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Now you had your team had come as well. My first time ever seeing you was at Palatka, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Palatka First Assembly. At that time was Ted Stackpole, now U.S. missionary.
Yes.
But we had seen it, I think, 2 years in a row, or at least every other year for a few years.
Right.
And wonderful ministry. And that was my first time. I would have guessed perhaps somewhere in the ballpark of 2011. Maybe again in 13, but it was very powerful ministry. Very, very powerful. So at this point, I like what you just said, and I wanted to ask you, certainly one thing you said is that the lost may not be prone to come into church. So this is a reason to come into church. But it also sounds like you do these events outside of church, or at least in other venues, to draw the crowd that perhaps feels that they would never step into a church.
Correct. Many churches, because of hard sometimes to get them in to a church building for whatever reason, and there are reasons, I guess, but neutral areas from theaters to, gymnasiums or high school auditoriums, we'll go anywhere. But I think a lot of it comes down to that church leadership or the area, known well by the church and saying, okay, what can be most effective? What can we do to draw? We find the one-on-one still very effective. Social media today, you can't do without. We say blitz it because we'd say, get that ticket out. We'd say, make up a ticket, if you remember, just a small card so you could give it got the one-on-one thing going. So you could say, 2 tickets for your coworkers or family or neighbor. So that's good. People are used to getting a free ticket or a ticket in their hand. So that's always a plus. People still do it today. But, Paul said, by any means that I may win some. So I love that verse in Paul's heart for ministry and reaching the lost. But I think it's important that we be open to new things. Our ministry, we've gone through a whole new relaunch of video. We did that the past couple of years. We felt if we're going to continue to reach this society now, we need to be here, not down here, not trying to play catch up. And so we've gone through a whole lot. It cost, but we felt for longevity, we need to do it. We have a new COVID scene. We have scenes that relate to, I think, any area right now. It's amazing. And all 4K stuff. So like we're there, when we do one, team, though, it's us multiple teams because we, with multimedia, with social media today, you watch us here and we see what's happening in Kenya or Russia, and we want a continuity. So, it's one plus many teams that we have to believe and trust the Lord for to maintain and do it in language. So that's my challenge, and God's helping us with that. And we're on call today, helping Kenya. But so I think we got to think out of the box, and is one thing to get them in, but we somehow, and one guy said this to me, I'll never forget it, Carl, we got to get them in the door. And if that's the door of your church or the door of an auditorium, they've got to see the love of Jesus somehow. And we believe visuals are important. I mean, we know what it is to preach, but give a sermon illustration like Jesus did, or use our media today. We have an advantage, and we need to make use of it as best we can. And that's our challenge, and that's what we think is helping us be effective.
Brother Carl, in the remaining time, I don't know if you have an opportunity, if I can figure out how to share the screen. Did you have some media you wanted to try? If not, we'll bypass that. I could
try. Am I on as host too now with you?
Let me see. Let's.
I see a share screen.
And
okay. I think it's still disabled.
Let me fiddle with an option here real quick.
Okay.
Settings.
You have a video or so I could try to show.
I typically am on a computer, had to use my telephone tonight, so
Gotcha.
I think I can do this here.
Okay.
Make co-host. All right, you are a co-host.
Okay, let's see now if that will let me share. Okay. Let me show a world, see if I can show this world missions one.
Okay.
And you let me know if can you see anything right now?
Yes, sir.
You see me or you see blank video?
This screen.
It's me?
Perfect. Now it's the play.
Okay, we're all good? This is one of other clips that. This is what I set up for our virtual fundraiser last year, but we're tied it in some of this year, but I thought this would be a quick one.
With the team from down under, from Australia.
From Siberia.
In Kenya.
De Mexico.
Poland. Costa Rica team.
South Africa.
Romania.
From Arafa.
From India.
Germany.
We are Ukrainian team.
In Honduras.
United Kingdom.
The Northest reality team in Europe.
We've also been in the Middle East with Calvary New Zealand and the islands of the South Pacific. And by the grace of God, in 19 years, there's been over 61,000 decisions for Christ.
We were blessed to see how many people repented and gave their souls to the Lord.
We have witnessed the power of God throughout the country, and many souls have come to Jesus.
Eternity will reveal how many souls were won for the gospel because of your support and because of your faithfulness.
We have seen over 70,000 people making Christ to be their Savior.
Through the drama, we can bring hope and salvation to the hearts of the people.
We've seen thousands and thousands of souls come to Jesus. In every church we go, there's a revival.
I want to say thank you for your prayers and support. God bless you, and we love you.
We have seen how God moved through this drama. People with problems of drugs, alcohol, and violence coming to Jesus.
Jesus is saving people through this simple drama to be encouraged in the work of the Lord.
We have the open doors to preach the gospel in Romania, but in Moldova too. We thank God for the open doors and the opportunities we have. You gave this opportunity for us.
That ministry, that's a powerful tool to win souls for Jesus. And thank you for your support, for your love.
Thousands have come to Christ. We've had some absolutely amazing miracles happening. God just really moved and touching people's lives.
God is doing a lot in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria.
We're thankful for the many thousands of lives that have been transformed through this incredible gospel message. We thank you for your love, your prayers, and your support.
So, are we visual now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So you can see me, or yeah, you good?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one. I can show more. Can I give an update on Russia there? You saw some of the Russian soldiers. One great thing that's happened this past 2 years or so, that and during COVID, all of the state rehabs in Russia have opened up to our ministry, and state penitentiaries, which are amazing to get into a country like that. And other Christian organizations have been shut out. I was over there and checking our teams, and the missionary has been there for 17 years. Said, Carl, if I help you or go with you, I'll be kicked out of the country, and even with green card. So I did go, not, with them not participating, but our national team, which is Russians there. And it's amazing that all of the state rehabs we can get in now, showing Heaven's Gates, doing it live or by video if we can't do it live. And some of these hardcore penitentiaries, which is amazing, just that country alone. It's an incredible story. So prime opportunity still happening. Yeah.
Well, Brother Carl, I want to open it up. I don't know if Mr. Steve Weller has any questions. If not, or if so, I have one or two following him, and then we want to just thank you for your time. Let others know how to connect with you.
Yeah.
And Steve, would you have anything?
Well, I did. I was quite taken with how many countries you go to on a yearly basis, or in that neighborhood or whatever, and all the countries that you've been to. How do you handle language issues?
Okay. One good thing about that, because we do know the script, it's amazing how your mind thinks a translator, it in English. So if they're speaking in Hindi or Tamil or Chinese or any other dialect, it's, we know where they're at. Plus, we work with the nationals. We'll have a good
What's that now?
We'll work with the national team.
Okay, all right.
If we do not have a national team in that area that we're with, we'll get a good translator. And the script, we will translate the script ahead of time. So that helps us. And typically, we might go in 1 day or 2 days early, but we're on target for, for the Sunday or the Friday they start. But good translator is key. And if we have, of course, our own team, that's the plus and the benefit. But many times we don't if we're opening up new areas, or we're with a missionary, one of our missionaries as well in the area.
I see. How long of a production is it?
About 55 minutes.
I see.
Say 55, it could go an hour, opening and close. If we show the opening where we show the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. And our new format, now we go back to the fall of Satan. We show that. And we've kind of felt the tie-in where how sin originated, the fall of Satan, and then the effect on society, and tie that into scenes and film that show now, what's happening in our society. So, but I'd say about an hour max, and then invitation time. Yeah. Yeah, and it's but each challenge, each area comes with its challenge and country, but we find the scenes are very universal and fit most countries, and we have most country covered. For instance, Poland will cover Czechoslovakia and that region. Romania will cover Moldova, Hungary. So each region, and of course smaller countries, right? They can cover the region fairly well. Yeah.
Brother Carl, when you come in, you'll typically come in on what day, and how many shows does a typical church do? One a night for how many nights?
Yeah, what we do, we'll come in by invitation and come in, let's say on a Friday, or if sometimes Thursday, but let's say Friday afternoon, unload our trailer set. Of course, we have a little prep that we think will prep that's expected before we get there, and that's the church ready, stage cleared, and anything modified and steps that if anything needs to be made along with what we have. So when we arrive on Friday, the stage is ready. We have a crew to help unload, and we get into setup usually then, and meet the remainder of the cast, let's say around 7 after they finish work on Friday. We find that works good because usually most Saturdays we have most people off work. So you have most of the Saturday after you're done setting up and devotion on Friday night, setting the tone. We finish the set Friday right into rehearsal at lunchtime. And so casting is done either some Friday night and Saturday morning with the core of speaking and non-speaking people that we have, say from 40 to 50, and into rehearsal on Saturday. And Sunday after morning worship, we rehearse again. We do about a couple rehearsals, and Sunday night we're on. So we ask that they memorize their script. We have a process we go through that we coach, And by the time Sunday afternoon arrives and midway through that, we know where they're at and how much we need to interject to be ready for Sunday night. And it's amazing how we get together, as you know.
I love that you arrive on a Friday night and they've got lines to memorize on Saturday.
That baffles my mind.
I know, and most say, look, I've had drama, like secular people come because of an invite and come and say, or, you know, do drama in church or schools, I mean, and theater, and say, how did you do it?
I don't know.
We know it's short vignettes. We're big on prayer. We believe the Lord takes the fear factor and says, okay, Lord, help me. That's a good thing, right? But it's amazing how it comes together. I mean, and that's the beauty. I think a lot of churches will have us because, Carl, we practice 4 months for our Easter cantata or music.
Yeah.
And you give us a break. We want you to come in. And because we know it and we know where to coach, if you just give us the people, speaking and unspeaking, it just comes together. It's simple, a simple tool, but with people involved and with the sound and light effects we have and all and film, it's a great package. And people will come to see them act. You know what I'm saying? That's a drawer too. We're not coming with 50 people, 40, 50 people saying, you know, we're here to do it. They come to see them. And there's something about that gets them out of their shell. They've never witnessed before, never, you know, done much ever on stage, but it's amazing what the transformation. And that's the part we love. To me, every church it's like starting new again. Like for us last week, Kathy and I, it's like, wow, it's fresh again. New church, new people, first time ever doing it, even if it's a repeat. You know, the pastor had it before in Louisiana. But it's like, you know, it's just fresh. And then see a family come forward. It's amazing, the stories. I still get touched. I love evangelism, but I believe it's
It's just amazing that you come and assign the parts on Friday night and partway on Saturday morning.
You know, I'm sure there are wonderful productions and plenty of them, but I'm sure there are some that have just fallen apart. You know,
I'll say this. I have to say this in my experience. I can't say ever fallen apart. Where there's a scene that's kind of mumble jumbled his way through a skit. Sometimes, yeah. I'll give one story. A father's son. The dad blew his lines on stage. And he went out in the parking lot and kind of pity partied himself a little bit.
Yeah.
And embarrassed, and rightly so, I guess. But while out there, a gentleman that had watched that and watched some of it went out in the parking lot and said, "Sir, that was you on stage, right?" He said, "Yes," you know. But he said, "I'm that dad." And he led him to the Lord in the parking lot. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
But conviction. So where we think, I think it's so, let's say intense, but it's so vivid. You never know what's going to touch somebody. The things that I don't think are important might just hit somebody so heavy. It's like, wow, that was for me. Or if someone says a line that's not in the script, I've seen that happen. And a guy walks up and says, "Oh, you didn't know I was a gambler or whatever." And I'm at the altar. God spoke to my heart. You know what I'm saying? You're like, it's amazing what God takes because you give it to him. And that's what I think helps a church and a cast come alive. And to me, I say, and I said it this past week, I pray you're never the same after this week. And I know some of them will never be the same in a good way.
Yeah.
Out of the box, never acted before, but seeing their friends come to Jesus because they were willing. It's amazing. That's why I'm still with it, I think. I know it is.
Wow.
You know?
One more thing is, you know, we ourselves, I think I expressed an interest to you that we had talked back in March about having you.
Yes.
And being in the state that we reside in, we thought we just don't know how things are going to unfold in the next few months. And held off on that. We are looking at having you potentially about this time next year. I don't know that this region's been experienced with that, so we're really excited for that. So one of the last things too, especially as this is on a recording for others to see both now and at a later time, if somebody were to want to get involved with the ministry of Heaven's Gates Hell's Flame. And I don't mean when you arrive at the church, but if for any reason that was a part of the draw or their call, what would that look like? How do you suggest being contacted or finding more information on your ministry?
They could get on realityoutreach.org, our website. It would have some clips there, information for church leaders, number one, or others that would want to know more about our ministry. That's available. I am launching again with our ministry in October, what we call a virtual fundraiser. And that's mainly to give an overview, number one, of our ministry, and to let them know the needs that we have moving forward, especially our missions moving forward. So some like to connect through social media. So I'm saying get on our Reality Outreach Facebook as well. We always put things that happen, or shots of things domestically or in the US as well as overseas. We try to keep it updated. They can get on our email, our lists too, if they want. We perhaps every quarter, no more than that, but we'll send out a newsletter, an e-letter, if they want that. We do it that way too. And then get on our site and look at where we're going to be. We might be close to the area. I had someone interested this past week and said, you're going to be in the area. I'd love to come by with my church to view it for ourselves. We'd like to consider having it. So I told them, well, this week coming, I'm going to be near Tampa, so our website is very resourceful when it comes to that. And we can send things.
And what's that website again, Brother Carl?
realityoutreach.org. That would be our main website, realityoutreach.org. A lot of information there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brother Carl, do you have any questions for us? Calvary Assembly up at the Canadian Rim.
Oh, man. For one thing, when you say Canada, I get a little homesick because that's my roots, right? Up that way. I say this. I love, and I told Kathy and I told some others of our ministry team, that you had interest of us coming perhaps later on. I see no greater, one of the greatest tools. I can't say it's the only, but one of the most effective tools I've seen God use to reach and connect with a region, a county, and a community is Heaven's Gates. And a lot of it has to do with the church having a heart to reach out. I would encourage you, what a time right now for the church to be who we need to be and give the message of hope. No greater time with all that we've gone through. And I say that for us too. It's a challenge for us, but we're finding people are anxious, they're curious, and they want to get at it. And not just overseas, but here in North America. So I'd encourage you to stay open to what God wants to do. We're one tool of many, but we're hands-on, and we love the fact that we can involve you and encourage you to just, grow in evangelism and grow and reaching the lost, and generational, not just with young people, but every age being involved in this. That's one other thing I love, that every age is involved, from the young to the oldest, so someone can relate. That's crucial. I think that's a plus. So, awesome.
Well, I think you had met one of our campus pastors who was side by side with me at General Council. We're getting ready for that launch. If you were to come up, Lord willing, in the upcoming year, we'd like to have you at both, whether that's there or even if we combined with another church up there to put it together. However, we had to make it happen because we feel that they need it too.
That's so awesome. I love your passion for that, because I've had guys say, you know what, Carl, I'd love to have you, but I don't have the resources or people. So it's neat, say, if we had to, and I've done this, take a course, say your church was done, but say we had a segment of them that could go and help facilitate them. You know what I'm saying? In doing what your objectives there and helping them out. Like, all those possibilities are there, but it can
right. I want to bypass what can be the obstacle sometimes at looking at the financial and say, hey, that's a new plant. They don't have a lot of finances, but what they could do is choose a central public location. Absolutely. And combine with another church and together make it a citywide outreach instead of just one church's.
Exactly. And that's a blessing to the community.
And they can split the harvest.
Absolutely. So good. And, great ways looking ahead now, there's plenty of time to do. I was with one church in Massachusetts recently, or a while back, not recently, but since pre-COVID, that is. And, they raise everything through yard sales and yard sale in their church. And when we arrived there, they had it all met, and more than enough and then for advertisement, the whole thing, so they're good ways, but you got a window to do that. But sounds exciting.
Well, we're looking forward to staying in touch with you.
Awesome.
So we that here at Calvary can plan for that. I'm so glad that you gave us your time tonight, almost an hour. Same with Brother Steve. So glad to be with you guys tonight, and for taking the window to share with us a little bit about a ministry that many here are unfamiliar with, and hope now are quite a bit more familiar with, and Lord willing, in the near future, very familiar with.
Amen. Love it. We would be excited about that, and we'll keep in touch anytime. Love it.
Sounds great. Well, Brother Carl, I'm sorry, sir.
Anything we can do to share leading up to that time, or video, let me know. Anything
that would be appreciated.
Take that, but we'll be praying for the right time, and great things. So good that we could connect. Thanks for the invite.
Well, we'll be sending you within the 2 weeks to come a one-time offering for the ministry, and for you guys as well. Just an appreciation, and we'll stay in contact until that time, Lord willing.
Awesome. Okay. Blessings.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye now.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.